Greetings, everyone. In this presentation, we will delve into the themes of justice and injustice as explored in Plato's The Ring of Gyges. We will also delve into what justice means as discussed by Glaucon and Socrates in Book 2 of Plato's The Republic. So this is the overview which will serve as the agenda for this presentation. Moving on, let us introduce the author of the reading we are tackling, which is Book 2 of the Republic. The Republic is a book written by Plato. In Book 2 of the Republic, the primary conversation partner of Socrates is Glaucon, who challenges Socrates' view of justice. Let us now talk about them in detail. First is Plato. Plato is, as we all know by now, an ancient Greek philosopher who founded the Academy, a school that probes into the world of science and mathematics. As previously mentioned, Plato authored the Republic, and within this work, Socrates serves as the main character through whom Plato conveys his philosophical concepts. Now, let us turn our attention to Glaucon, the primary speaker in Book 2 of the Republic. He embraces egoistic perspectives on justice, which assert that people's actions are primarily driven by self-interest. To give you advanced information, Socrates and Glaucon has opposing views regarding why people act justly. The Ring of Gyges is a story brought up by Glaucon to illustrate his idea that people would inherently follow the path of injustice whenever given the opportunity to do so without any equivalent consequences. So, in the tale, Gyges is a shepherd from the kingdom of Lydia. One day, a powerful storm and earthquake occurred where he was tending to his sheep. This created an opening in the ground, revealing a hollow bronze horse. Inside this object, Gyges discovered a giant with nothing but a ring on its finger. He took this ring and quickly departed. During a meeting with the other shepherds to talk about their monthly report, Gyges experimented with the ring. When he wore it, he turned invisible. After removing the ring, he turned visible once again. Amazed by this newfound power, he eagerly volunteered to be the messenger for delivering their monthly report to the king. Upon entering the palace, he wore the ring. While invisible, he seduced the queen, and with the queen's help, he murdered the king to take the kingdom.
Having explored the interesting story of the Ring of Gyges, let's now delve deeper into Glaucon's categorization of justice. Glaucon presents three distinct classifications of justice. These classifications are 1. Justice as an instrumental good, which is how Glaucon primarily viewed justice, as discussed later. Number 2. Justice as an intrinsic good. And number 3. Justice as both instrumental and intrinsic good. So, we have justice according to Glaucon.
Before delving into the essence of justice, Glaucon first posited that individuals have the capacity for both justice and injustice. But when we see that everyone is either causing or suffering from injustice, we prefer that neither happens. For this reason, people made agreements not to harm one another. They try to find a middle ground between the best situation, where we can do injustice without any consequences, and the worst, where we suffer injustice without being able to fight back. This middle ground is what we call justice, which takes place in the form of rules or laws in our society. Basically, we involuntarily commit to justice because we want to avoid retaliation when we harm others. This is why obeying the law is considered justice, as it stops this kind of situations. Glaucon also talked about what would happen if we could get away with any wrongdoing without any consequences. He used the story of the Ring of Gyges as an example. Gyges couldn't resist doing bad things when he could turn invisible. This shows that we only act justly because we're scared of what might happen if we don't. As a thought experiment, Glaucon presented what would happen to the fate of the just and the unjust if we give both of them the rings. If we let them do anything they want, we would see the just person following the path of the unjust by claiming things he does not own, murdering any person, among any other acts of injustice. This happens because following the path of injustice is far more beneficial and profitable for the individual than following the path of justice. Furthermore, Glaucon said that we see justice as a way to get something for ourselves, not just because it's the right thing to do. We tend to be good because it can bring us a good reputation or make us feel good about ourselves. This means we see justice as a tool to gain something, not as something valuable in itself.
Now that we've tackled justice according to Glaucon, let's move on to justice according to Socrates. Socrates' perspective on justice offers a profound insight into the nature of justice that goes beyond mere instrumental value. Let's delve deeper into Socrates' viewpoint on justice. Socrates believed that justice was not merely a means to an end, but an intrinsic good in itself. He argued that individuals who pursued justice did so not solely for the external rewards or societal approval, but because they recognized the inherent value of leading a just life. In Socrates' eyes, a just life was a life worth living, filled with a sense of purpose and harmony. One of the key distinctions in Socrates' perspective, as opposed to Glaucon's, lies in his view of justice as a virtue that benefits its possessors. For Socrates, living a just life was not a burdensome duty imposed by society, which is now what we call laws, but instead it is a path to personal flourishing. Those who practiced justice, according to Socrates, gained a profound understanding of the harmony it brought to their own souls. In this sense, justice was not just an external social contract, but an inner state of balance and virtue. Moreover, Socrates emphasized the idea that individuals who adhered to justice were not doing so out of fear of punishment, but out of a genuine recognition that injustice harmed them. He argued that a just person possessed a kind of wisdom, an understanding of the interconnectedness of their actions with the well-being of the whole community. This wisdom led to a realization that injustice disrupted the moral fabric of society and, by extension, harmed the individual as well. Socrates also extended his perspective on justice to the broader context of the state. He believed that a just society was one where each individual performed their own part or role in the community. This vision of justice was not merely about obeying laws, but instead, it is about actively contributing to the common good. It was a holistic concept that encompassed both individual and collective well-being. Furthermore, Socrates contended that virtuous actions stemming from a sense of justice naturally led to the acquisition of good things. This was not a shallow pursuit of material wealth, but rather an understanding that the rewards of a just life were not only spiritual but also tangible. A virtuous person, according to Socrates, attracted opportunities and relationships that were fruitful by their very nature. In conclusion, Socrates' perspective on justice offers a multifaceted view that goes beyond the idea of justice as a means to gain rewards or avoid punishment. For Socrates, justice is intrinsically valuable, benefiting both the individual and the state. It is a virtue that leads to personal flourishing, wisdom, and a harmonious society. This perspective encourages us to consider justice not just as a societal construct, but as an essential component of a fulfilling and meaningful life. With all that out of the way, in order to apply what we've learned so far, let's look into the concept of the Ring of Gyges in the modern world. We will tackle 3 real world scenarios where we can see the concept of having the power to do injustice without suffering from its consequences. We have first the aspect of hacking and social engineering. Second, the aspect of environmental exploitation. And lastly, data technology and weaponization of data for political use.
First, hacking and social engineering. As we all know, the internet is widely accessible today. We're even using it right now to view this video presentation. However, with this easy accessibility comes a great risk. The internet allows anonymity for everyone, especially ill-intentioned individuals. This anonymity has been abused to exploit people without being traced for several years now. Unethical hacking and social engineering leads to costly damages. An article shows that the average cost incurred by businesses due to breaches in 2022 amounts to approximately $4.35 million, and apparently only 5% of these cybercriminals are punished. Second, environmental exploitation. Human beings have always used natural resources for survivability, yet with the global trend of constant innovation and increase in demand for consumer products, the environment is constantly being exploited. Companies would engage in destructive practices that harm the environment, such as illegal logging, illegal mining, among other things, just for resources. In fact, a study in 2019 shows that 71% of greenhouse gas emissions since the year 1988 are caused only by 100 companies. Large companies have no qualms making a profit at the expense of destroying the environment because they have legal immunity with the financial resources they have. Using money as a loophole to environmental protection seems super unjust by nature. According to a study by Mittler in 2018, companies with large financial resources can bypass legal ramification due to collusions with politicians.
Lastly, we have the topic of data technology and the weaponization of data for political use. Undoubtedly, data has been a crucial part of the 21st century as it spearheads the operations of pretty much any company today. Inevitably, the more data a company has, the more powerful it is. With increased access to the internet, large companies can now collect from a growing farm for data. In fact, Cambridge Analytica, a political consulting firm, has used data and data science to enable their client politicians to rise to power, which is a clear use of data for injustice. Donald Trump even won the elections because Cambridge Analytica has been helping his campaign, mainly focusing on information drive that are targeted towards specific users whose opinions can still be swayed. The influence of Cambridge Analytica has also pierced through the local political climate in our country, especially with the latest presidential elections. For a deeper dive on this topic, we suggest watching The Great Hack on Netflix. Let's move on to the concept of the Ring of Gyges as a scholar ng bayan. It is widely known that knowledge is power. As the premier university in the Philippines who pioneers technological and research advancements in the country, will we use it for good or perpetuate the injustices through innovation? Justice, according to Socrates, is something that we partake in to contribute to the community. As a UP student, it is natural to uphold justice for the betterment of the society. Injustice is not ever tolerated in the UP culture. If any power is obtained by any scholar, it is certainly for the people. So, to top all things off, let's go back to all the things that we've learned in this presentation. So, this presentation again was all about the Ring of Gyges. It is the book 2 of Plato's The Republic. And in this, we discuss the viewpoints of Socrates and Glaucon in terms of like how they view justice. As mentioned here, they have contending views regarding justice. So here, Glaucon views justice as something we enjoy because of the rewards it offers us. Moreover, he explored the idea that justice is the middle point between the just and the unjust, a compromise people agreed upon to avoid hurting each other. Because, as mentioned earlier, by human nature, people will tend to go by the path of injustice just because it's objectively more profitable to the person. But in a society, it's simply impossible for everyone to be unjust, since there will be those that will do the injustice and there will be those that suffer the injustice. Of course, not everyone wants to suffer the injustice, and that to make it worse, like there can't be a society where everyone just suffers from injustice and they can't even fight back. So in the modern society, we now have things that we call laws. So going back, Glaucon insists that people will tend to follow the path of injustice whenever given the option to do so without facing the consequences. He raised the story of the Ring of Gyges to prove this point, where this ring gave him the power of invisibility, making him escape from any form of accountability. Adding to Glaucon's point of view is this other point of view of Socrates, which in his perspective, the definition of justice, he views it as something that is intrinsically good, on top of it having rewards to offer us. Justice is an optimal good for both the individual and the state. For Socrates, justice is both instrumentally good and intrinsically good. On another note, we witness the manifestation of injustice in various crimes today, which is made possible through various mediums such as the internet. These injustices manifest through the scenarios we've explained earlier, such as the hacking, social engineering, environmental exploitation, and political advantages through data usage. And then finally, the philosophical perspectives that the Ring of Gyges has brought up is still tangible in today's world. Ultimately, we must admit that a lot of the things that we do are a result of our desires. With the internet being widely available, anyone has the medium to seek their own self-interests online. We always need to remember that we need to be responsible with the various powers that we own, may it be like our talents or our influence on the internet or just our internet usage in general. We all need to be responsible, since the story of the Ring of Gyges is certainly something we can reflect upon ourselves, and especially in what we do, what we can do, or what we'll do in the future. After all, with great power comes great responsibility. That is all for our presentation. Thank you.